And greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Steve Deace Show, live and on demand right here on Blaze TV, radio and podcast. I'm Steve Deace. He is Aaron McIntyre, and he is Todd Erzin. And then you are you. Let us know who you are. In fact, via the stevedeace.com inbox, you can email the program, steve@stevedeace.com. That's DEACE. Like us on Facebook. Look for Steve Deace there, as well as MeWe, Parler, and Gab. You can follow us on Twitter at Steve Deace Show. Again, the last name is DEACE. And if you're looking for clips of the program that you can watch for free later on, go to rumble.com/Steve Deace Show as well. Coming up here on this Wednesday, the weekly prophet of woe and lamentation will be joining us. He has a bombshell new story out just now looking at India and the ivermectin data. You guys may be shocked to hear this, but they lied. Thoughts? Anybody?
Just another day that ends in Y.
All they do is lie.
Yes, they do.
Yes, and so we will talk to Daniel about that and more coming up during the final segment of the show today. Also, we will play our weekly game of zany hijinks known as Buy, Sell, or Hold. Who knows what tasty nuggets you guys have in store for Todd and I to pontificate on. That'll begin at the bottom of this hour. But before we get to all of that, of course, here is Aaron's rundown of what happened while we were away.
What happened while we were away, brought to you by letting people die because Orange Man bad. A new study from doctors at the Smith Center for Infectious Diseases in New Jersey shows the use of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin is associated with more than a 100% increase in survival of patients who required invasive medical ventilation. Around this time last year, on June 15th, the FDA determined that, quote, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine are unlikely to be effective in treating COVID-19 for the authorized uses in the emergency use authorization, which it revoked. Death of the West update. The CEO of the Colonial Oil Pipeline, which suffered that cyber attack a couple of weeks ago, was brought in front of a Senate panel and was asked by Senator Josh Hawley whether his company has workers who know how to operate the pipeline manually in case of a cyber attack.
It's a really interesting question because if you look at the aging workforce now, a lot of those people that did operate Colonial Pipeline and other infrastructure in America historically manually, they're retiring or they're gone. Fortunately, we still have that last bit of that generation, which allowed us to do what we did during this particular event.
Kamala Harris was in Mexico City yesterday, meeting with the president of Mexico outside, masked while vaccinated. She took this question from a reporter at Univision.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. For me, it's an honor because I actually got to vote for the first time as a nationalized citizen, and I voted for you. So my question is...
Jen Psaki was asked this morning,
why is it then that when the vice president is asked if she has plans to visit the border, she says we've been to the border, even though she has not as vice president?
Well, as the vice president, she does speak for the actions of the people in the administration. She certainly helps oversee.
The Daily Mail obtained more texts to and from Hunter Biden. In completely unsurprising news, the president's son routinely uses the N-word when talking to his attorney. And now, taking your country back. Critical race theory proponents seem to be on the defensive as former President Barack Obama is getting involved, downplaying and deflecting from the Marxist ideology.
You would think, with all the public policy debates that are taking place right now, that the Republican Party would be engaged in a significant debate about how are we going to deal with the economy and what are we going to do about climate change and what are we going to do about... Lo and behold, the single most important issue to them apparently right now is critical race theory. Who knew?
Meanwhile, in Carmel, New York, this mother slammed her school board for promoting critical race theory.
Ma'am, excuse me. I'm up here. We're not allowed to use names. If you have something you'd like to discuss about a specific person, you can call the superintendent or leave your info for her to call you tomorrow.
Why are we not allowed to discuss names? Why am I not allowed when they purposely themselves expose themselves on social media, talking about calling for the death of a former president, or saying that any child that doesn't believe in Black Lives Matter should be canceled out? Is this what my tax dollars is paying for? You're teaching my children and other children that if they believe in God Almighty, they're part of a cult. These educators put their own names out there. We have Mr. Barry, who took it upon himself with Miss Cyrus to create a curriculum.
That should be it.
Do you want the proof? I have the proof. You created a curriculum of Black Panther indoctrination.
Ma'am,
You used taxpayers' dollars.
can I ask you one more time? I have no issue hearing what you have to say, but
Why can we not let the public speak? Why can't we let the public know that you're teaching our children to go out and murder our police officers?
That
Do
is
you
not-
want the proof? I have the proof. Is that what scares you, the proof? That a parent actually standing up against all of you?
Also in New York, at a school board meeting for a district outside Rochester, this happened.
Thank you, Mr. Grani. That concludes the special, the visitor speaking time. So I'll turn it over to Superintendent's report.
Be respectful. You're an elected representative to represent us. This isn't about you, Mark. You're not going to stand up here and do anything to me,
That's school board member Bill Yeager telling an upset parent, reminding him who he works for, quote, "You're not going to stand up here and do anything to me." The previous discussion involved critical race theory and the district's masking policy.
You call me? I didn't call you an I said you are elected to represent us.
Back in Loudoun County, Virginia, this teacher once again took it to her school board.
And I'm going to give a message of encouragement to parents and teachers and students who are too afraid to come and speak forward. Parents, the longer that you wait and you don't hold your child's schools accountable gives these guys more time to dictate what's best for your child's physical, mental, and emotional health. Don't be afraid to speak out for your kids because they are voiceless and they rely on you. You should be afraid of them rooting for socialism by the time they get to middle school. Teachers, it may seem that our careers have come to a dead end, but I'm here to remind you, we don't work for the school board. We work to mold the next generation of well-rounded American patriots. So don't give up because it is up to us. Students, you are on the front lines of these indoctrination camps. Challenge the staff when you're presented with a ludicrous statement, and do not allow anybody to tell you that you cannot accomplish anything because of your skin color or to hate yourself because of your skin color. Students, it is up to you to be the next generation of victims or victors. And finally, to the board, this isn't over, and your policies are just as
Nick Gofford, followed by Ryan.
Also in Loudoun County, the school district has been ordered by a judge to reinstate PE teacher Byron Tanner Cross, who was suspended days after telling the school board he wouldn't refer to dudes who feel pretty by their preferred pronouns because of his religious beliefs. And finally, Burger King announced recently they're donating all proceeds for their chicken sandwiches to the Human Rights Campaign, a radical leftist organization which seeks to undermine what's left of Western civilization. Babylon Bee headline, LGBTQ community really bummed they have to eat at Burger King now. And that's what happened while we were away.
2013 called and wants its culture war fights back. Have you guys... I can see why Burger King had to...
at Chick-fil-A?
What's that?
Are they still ticked at Chick-fil-A or something?
I mean, I can see why Burger King had to do a massive reorganization of their corporation. I mean, they closed, dozens of stores all over the country here in the last year plus, because they're clearly behind the times. I mean, now they haven't gone to the point of donating to the Human Rights Campaign. I mean, that's basically the Death Star of the Rainbow Jihad. But I mean, Chick-fil-A has been out there doing a ton of this kind of virtue signaling itself the last few years. I mean, this is just, clearly the people running Chick-fil-A are Burger King are just dumb. I mean, you're just bad at this. You've picked someone that is largely moving in your direction. As a matter of fact, Aaron's montage is brought to you by Built Bar. One of our favorite products here on the show. It's almost Built Bar time for me here in about 21 minutes, but who's counting? The best protein bar you have ever had. It's better than several of the candy bars out there that you've had, and much more nutritious, low calorie, low carb, low sugar, fits into any healthy lifestyle that you're looking for with the taste and texture of a candy bar. Absolutely, these are delicious. You can try the variety box with their everyday flavors like cookies and cream, caramel brownie, etc. The specialty flavors like right now it's grasshopper cookie and birthday cake, whichever you're into. Trust me, if you've not yet tried Built Bar, you're missing out. And if you want to try it again, I would urge you to do so right now. In both cases, use my last name, Deace, as your promo code, DEACE, and get 15% off that order when you go to Built Bar, BUILT, BuiltBar.com, promo code Deace to get 15% off. So let's go to the montage, shall we? Aaron, you mentioned a date in your montage. Can you remind me again the date that the FDA authorization for hydroxychloroquine in the treatment of COVID-19, because this has been an free email services like Gmail and Yahoo really aren't free. You pay for them with your privacy. And since these companies have access to every email you send and receive, therefore, so does big tech. And then they sell your data, maybe even knowing your business, off to the highest bidder. That's why you want to use StartMail to secure your email and for your email to be safe. Again, it keeps your email private, period. Every email is encrypted, even if the recipient himself or themselves don't use encryption, which means big tech can't read, scan, analyze, or sell your personal information if you use StartMail ever. Not even Big Brother can snoop around your email, because StartMail also prevents government agencies from spying on you, just like in Dragnet operations. So with StartMail, also know that deleted actually means deleted. When you delete an email, it is gone forever. Oh, and by the way, StartMail uses its own receivers or servers, not Amazon's or anybody else's. So what happened to somebody like, say, Parler cannot be done to them. It's backed by the most stringent privacy laws in the world. And if you want to protect your identity with StartMail, and you don't want to trust big tech anymore with your business, start securing it today. Get 50% off your first year. That's 50% off your first year if you go to StartMail. That's start with a T. StartMail.com/Steve. Again, StartMail.com/Steve. 50% off your first year today at StartMail.com/Steve. About what we were just discussing. I'm getting emails during this break from people claiming to be healthcare professionals telling me things like, let's get to buy, sell, or hold. Brought to you by our friends over at Brickhouse Nutrition. What have I told you? That you can get out of the sick care system to some extent by taking charge of your health preventatively. That's where products like Field of Greens can help. It's one of the superfoods out there with it's the only superfood out there with real USDA organic fruits and vegetables packed with antioxidants that support heart health, metabolism, blood pressure, digestion. It's both pre and probiotic, and it's great for everyone in the whole family. I use this product each day. First thing in the morning, you stir it in, 1 scoop with any water-based drink, mix it together, and right away you're getting more of a diet of densely populated fruits and vegetables than the average American gets in a day, if not longer. It tastes great too. And they've got cool new flavors like wild berry and lemon lime. That's the one I'm drinking right now. If you want to give it a shot, go to BrickHouseSteve.com. Use the promo code Steve to get 15% off of your first order. A 15% discount with my first name. Steve is the promo code when you go to BrickHouseSteve.com. By now, you know the rules of buy, sell, or hold. Aaron, with some help from you in the audience, maybe even a lot of help, we'll throw you and I's way, Todd, and who knows what topic it will be. Could be a list, it could be a prediction, could be a statement, what have you. You and I will decide if we're going to buy that, if we're going to sell it, probably have at least a reason why. Once per episode, you are permitted to put a hold on the proposition. But if it's for any reason other than because it is so lame, you will be forced to give all of your current personal wealth to our friends over at Gilead, because clearly they're starving over there. Aaron.
We'll begin with Minnie Bomber, who says Hillary Clinton would have been a less woke and less chaotic president than the Biden administration.
Bye. She might have even been worse on a couple of fronts I could foresee, but like on stuff like on foreign policy, for example, I think that I could actually make a case that she might even have been aggressively anti-Islamist because of some of their antiquated views in her mind on topics that are near and dear to her heart, like feminism and abortion and things of that nature. Okay. So I absolutely buy that. If you know anything about the Clintons, ultimately, she has more ideological convictions than Bill does, but they really only have one prime directive: themselves. Here we're dealing with a guy that will be fortunate to finish a first year in office from a health perspective, let alone a first term. He understands, I think, who knows what he understands on a daily basis, that he is nothing but a complete and total tool and proxy for the forces behind him, or really governing and calling the shots. To some extent, Hillary Clinton was going to want recognition for being in charge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't put up with Bill all those years and everything else I had to go through and all the scandals and the embarrassments to come in here and have a couple of $40,000 a year bureaucrats out-lefting me and out of a government. That's not happening with her. By the way, don't take this to mean it would have been good, or the days of wines and roses. But that wasn't the proposition, was it? The proposition was it would be less woke than what we're seeing now. And I agree with it. Yeah, I'll buy that.
I'll sell it only because it's not respective to Hillary. The points about Hillary are germane that Steve mentioned, but the spirit of it age takes who it wants. And also, I look at the fruits of her own child and how woke Chelsea has become. I think that's all I need to know, that it would. It's not a Hillary thing. It's the spirit of the age.
Up next, we'll go to Bradley Schick, who says, when asked if you're vaccinated, the appropriate response is, no, but I haven't been to Europe either.
Yes. God, yes. Thank you.
Bradley Schick, well done.
You should have maybe saved that for the end, man. We got 45 more minutes of these.
I don't understand the question here.
Yeah, yes. That's a buy, brother. That's cash money, homie, right there.
Yes.
Yeah,
next up, we'll go to Kyler Rican, who says, with Loki now here, the new Marvel series will have more surprises from plot sequencing, reappearances of past characters, and tie up more in Phase 4 and 5 than WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier combined, while being a better show than both.
All right, so you guys know my pet peeve with this. I love this segment. I look forward to it every week. It's one of the most popular segments we have, okay?
The only reason I took this one is because it's Marvel.
Yes.
I've been filtering out all the long ones.
But when you guys
too much going on,
there's too many compound sentences there, all right? Because you're trying to hit an exacta box, man, and a trifecta, you know? Or you're trying to like a 4-team parlay, and nowhere amongst your teams are Alabama and Clemson. They're all outlier predictions. You're taking all underdogs. That's the point of this segment, right? Is to call a shot, basically. Okay. So can we put that back up there for a second?
Let's just take them one by one.
This seems like 3 different ones.
The new Marvel series, Loki, will have more surprises from a plot sequencing perspective than WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I will buy that. I didn't really think Falcon and the Winter Soldier had any huge plot surprises. I liked the series, but I think we all knew that eventually this was all the culmination was for Sam to assume the mantle that Cap originally tried to give him, right?
Yeah.
I think if there was a major plot development at the end of WandaVision, but I think it actually disappointed people. That ultimately, while the series was exceedingly creative and well done overall, but the ultimate meta-narrative of the program was not to set up anything, really, other than just close the loop on her as a character and what she did with her own grief and how it drove her insane, right?
Yeah.
But like all the various theories that were out there about what is this pointing to or anything, it didn't point to anything. She just lost her damn mind because she was denied the dream of being a wife and a mom with the man that she loved, right? So on that front, I'll buy, because the first series, both series were well done, but the first series plot twist was disappointing. And the second series didn't really have a plot twist. So I'll buy that.
It's interesting. And I will sell for the same reason. It doesn't... You're basically saying since we didn't see it, I'm betting on the come that it's got to be coming sooner or later.
Because you're also dealing with alternate timelines. You know what I'm saying? That they're actually introducing an entirely new wing now of the Marvel universe through the Time Variance Authority that has not been seen in any previous movie or television show. So therefore, in and of itself, it's a plot.
I'll just sell because they haven't done it really now. So why are they going to do it with this one?
Okay.
It'll tie into more tie more loose ends up from Phase 4 and 5 than WandaVision and Falcon.
Well, Phase 4 is just underway. Phase 5 hasn't started. Do we even know what the?
I think he must mean the phases 3 and 4. So.
Okay, or maybe hint at those things. Does he?
How many loose threads do we feel there are?
Let's just move on.
Okay.
John Endicott says, we will soon see articles that will list the benefits from having gone through this pandemic. Reduced population, less burden on healthcare and government funds, taking care of the sick and vulnerable, especially the elderly.
Malthusian ethic, go to Malthusian ethic, brah.
Yeah, bye.
So bye, yeah.
Up next, we've got James Swick, who says Steve will make his on-screen cameo debut in the Nefarious Plot film, thus becoming the Stan Lee of the Nefarious Plot universe.
I don't know anything to base my answer. I swear, Steve hasn't told me anything about this, but I will buy. This should happen.
I kind of feel like, I mean, they would let me do this if I wanted to, but I have not suggested it. It's not that I'm ruling it out, but I kind of feel like this one's been done. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, it's what Captain America, it's what Cap says to Iron Man in the first Avengers. You're not the one to make the sacrifice play. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like I'm not the one to make the stereotypical play of putting myself in this movie, and of course the movie does set you up for a sequel because there's an ensuing book, and who knows, maybe one day another one. But I kind of feel like doing the Stan Lee thing is kind of already been done, and I don't want to do something that somebody else has kind of already done, and was always going to do it better than I've ever done.
M. Night Shyamalan has done it. I mean, you gotta know. That doesn't mean it's been done. It means it's cool.
It kind of feels cliched now.
No,
the book is an homage to a Screw Tape Letters, but I didn't just like do my own version of that. I wanted to then, with the update and the knowledge of what's gone on in the world since Clyde Staples Lewis passed away, let's give him an homage. But I'm not doing a cover song. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming off the top rope. How do you come off the top rope on Stan Lee cameos? I mean, he is Jimmy Superfly Snuka where that is concerned.
It's just an ode.
Okay, all right. I need to hold on the grounds that any answer I give could later incriminate me. But since it was brought up, this is an internal debate I'm having actually about this, whether I should do it or not.
You should do it.
Up next, we've got Adam, who says, I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and twin 3-year-olds. While exhausting, Aaron should not buy that the newborn stage is the most tiring part of parenthood.
Don't buy the most tiring part of parenthood. I mean, it's parenting is hard. It's challenging. But the great woe and lamentation of the modern day parent about how hard it's easier than ever before in so many respects. All right. I mean, in terms of food, shelter, clothing, want, certainly in this country, but you have more victimology coming out of, suburban cul-de-sac parents about, that was such a hard phase. Shut up. It's not hard at all. Look around you. Look at history. Look at the rest of the world.
That's well said. I know you're not doing this, but let's not also make it sound like this is just a walk in the park and simple.
I just said it's not. Yeah. There's challenges. Absolutely.
I think some of the challenge comes from the first time that your own conscientiousness and paranoia of I'm going to mess it up, and so every time the child makes a move at night, you're up. You know what I'm saying? And I think that becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy with your first go around. Is for pretty much every one of us, I would imagine, except anybody that has been in like an extreme situation where they previously were in charge of soldiers in a unit whose lives they were responsible for before they became a parent, right? Mm-hmm. Sort of something like that. For the majority of us, this is the greatest responsibility we have ever undertaken in our life up until this very point in time. Fair?
Yeah.
And so I do think once that instinct kicks in about what's really at stake, we have a tendency to maybe go so far overboard out of caution and concern that adds to the level of exhaustion. Is that fair?
Yeah, okay. I mean, a basic premise, sure. Yeah.
But you can, when they get older, they can exhaust you in a different way. I mean, now they can have their own ideas and thoughts, question yours, have their own opinions. That can be exhausting, right? And you're like, it was just a lot easier when I just had to change your diaper, okay? So I'm going to sell the whole, am I being asked to sell what? That it's not exhausting or buy?
Sell that the newborn stage, buy, sell, or hold, the newborn stage is the most tiring part of parenthood.
Yeah, I'm going to sell that. Because I don't, with all due respect, I don't like the premise of it. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. There is no close second. It hasn't always been enjoyable. It hasn't always been easy. Right now, I've got 2 teenagers living in my home, okay? All right? And the third one just moved out and likes me again and now no longer lives with me, which sucks. Now that she likes me again, I kind of want her around more often. You know what I mean? All right? So, but I'll tell you this, though. I mean, I'll never do anything better or greater in my life, and nothing even close to that. Enjoy every last minute of it, man, even the struggles and the trials that go along with it. That would be my advice. We'll come back. More buy, sell, or hold is next. Part 2 of the Steve Deace Show alongside Todd Erz and Aaron McIntyre. I'm Steve Deace. Let us know what you think about what we think via the stevedeace.com inbox. Steve@stevedeace.com is how you can email us. That's DEACE. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Steve Deace Show. Also look for me, Steve Deace, on MeWe, Parler, and Gab. And then look for clips of the program for free that you can watch later in the day at rumble.com/Steve Deace Show. And finally, we're looking for you. If you're a podcast listener, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave us a 5-star review if you haven't done that yet too. And because those certainly help to boost the program, and we thank all of you that have done those 2 things for us already. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, the weekly prophet of woe and lamentation, Daniel Horowitz, will be joining us. We're going to get his thoughts on the chain of events on hydroxychloroquine that we laid out earlier in the program. And he's got a bombshell new piece today about how they're doing the same scam in year 2 of COVID with ivermectin that was done in year 1 with hydroxychloroquine. So we'll get into that at the bottom of the hour. Part 2 of Buy, Sell, or Hold, though, is brought to you by a brand new partner to the show called Moink. If you could see and taste this bacon from Moinkbox, which I am looking forward to, moinkbox.com. You would order it right now. Because I've been to the website. I've seen how it looks. If it tastes anywhere as good as it looks, dude. I've not got my box yet, but I am very excited to try this. They deliver grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pastured pork and chicken, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, and it's delivered directly to your door, helping family farms, not, big corporations that are probably donating to causes that hate you, but helping family farms become financially independent outside of big ag. And hey, we live in an ag state. We live in the ag state. And it's done a lot of great things, but I will tell you, when I was heavily involved in Iowa politically on a local level, a lot of times the swampy establishment candidates we had to get rid of were backed by big ag. Okay? So if you want to get all around that and get outstanding meat delivered directly to your door from people that are just entrepreneurs, family friends, family farmers, just trying to build a legacy like all of you are right now. All right. Check out Moink, founded by an 8th-generation farmer, featured on Shark Tank. Okay. You can join the Moink movement today. Go to Moinkbox, MOINK, moinkbox.com/Steve right now. Listeners to our show, are you ready for this? Free bacon for a year if you try it out.
Come again?
Get the look on Todd's face. Yeah, dude. The otherwise known as the appetizer at the marriage supper of the Lamb, bacon. Okay. Free bacon for a year for a limited time right now if you try them out at Moinkbox, M-O-I-N-K. Dude, if free bacon, right? I mean, is that maybe the greatest incentive we've ever offered in the history of this program? Free bacon.
Why are you even asking the question?
All right. Moinkbox.com/Steve. Free bacon if you try it out. Moinkbox, M-O-I-N-K, moinkbox.com/Steve. Aaron.
All right, this next one. The people that aren't supportive of the life cause, they're not the people you want to be in a foxhole with on any other political battle. They are the first ones who will sell out to the DC establishment when the going gets tough. Buy, sell, or hold.
That's an absolute buy. It's a familiar refrain I've posited numerous times over the years. David Barton at Wall Builders used to give a presentation. I don't know if he still does, but about 8 or 10 years ago, he'd give a presentation that I sat through a couple of times where he would draw a direct line in how someone voted on the life issue and how that was not a litmus test. It was beyond that. It was a window to the soul. That the weaker they were on the life issue, the weaker they were on every other issue that we cared about as well. So I'm all in. I would absolutely buy that. Yes.
Buy. It's science.
And that's my experience as an activist. The folks who helped train me in activism originally on a grassroots level were the Right to Work Gun Owners of America folks. And one of the first things they taught us when they came to our state about 12 years ago is whenever they go, and they came here because for the first time since Reconstruction, Democrats had, in the 2006 elections, had just won total control of state government. And that had not happened in Iowa in many a moon. And so they right away threatened our right to work status. And so Right to Work mobilized to come to Iowa and save the state. Because obviously, if the first in the nation caucus state loses right to work, that becomes a national domino talking point, right? So they mobilized their operation to come here, and a bunch of us got trained and guided by them. And a lot of the lessons I learned helped to formulate my own basis for activism that I've done for my show to this very day. One of the things they told us when they came to a state to organize it, and they wanted to know where a state stood on right to work, they would commission an initial poll. Except get this, the poll was not about right to work. They polled people's positions on the Second Amendment and the life issue. Why? Because those two issues told you where the overall population was on anything involving freedom, liberty, etc. And then the people that responded the most aggressively on those two issues have always proven to be the people that respond the most aggressively on every other issue. So there you go.
Yeah, that buy, sell, hold submission comes from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in a just published interview with the Daily Caller. Up next, we'll go to Daryl Vestal, who says the NIH whistleblower that proves Dr. Fauci's criminal culpability in the COVID-19 pandemic didn't kill himself.
Dude.
Yep.
Dude. Bye.
Bye.
Next, we'll go to Aaron E. MSNBC and CNN will subtly do everything they can to encourage Trump to run again just for the chance of boosted ratings.
All right, I'm very glad. I did not know this was going to come up, but I am very glad. This is providential that you included this, because I have almost tweeted something like what I'm about to say like 5 times in the last few weeks, okay? Because I keep seeing things in my feed from a lot of our peers in our business about how these networks are dying without Trump. I mean, what has happened to, well, I wouldn't call Glenn Greenwald one of our peers. He just isn't a lemming, okay? He kind of thinks for himself. I think you're watching Glenn Greenwald get Rubenized right in front of our very eyes, is what I think is going down. But he has been pointing out more in depth than anybody I have seen what has happened to CNN's ratings since January 6th, since the inauguration. And it was clear now that Trump was gone and we've moved on. And I mean, dude, Zach Galifianakis on doing local access between two ferns is drawing more viewers than these CNN primetime shows, man. Okay? And so a lot of people are pointing out how badly these networks need Trump back. And it's a lot of our own people, right? Question. Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Isn't that an argument to not bring Trump back? I mean, we want to resurrect CNN's ratings. We want to make Don Lemon a thing again. I mean, Anderson Cooper's stuck at a 180. We want to let him go the full 360? We want Rachel Maddow toppling Tucker Carlson in the ratings again? We want that? I don't know. Am I wrong to ask this question?
No, you're not wrong.
Because, I mean, that would seem to be an argument about not going back to that well. Why resurrect all these people and make them relevant again?
Fine, not going back to that well.
Especially when I can get that agenda from other people that have not proven to provide so much grist for their mill on a nightly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, they will try. I mean, they're trying to do this to Ron DeSantis now. The problem is his persona just is not as polarizing as it needs to be. And some of it is he's not a national figure yet, although that's radically changing before our eyes. But he also just doesn't have a similar persona on any issue, really, on the way he communicates on anything. I heard a clip the other day of Trump being asked by Dick Morris, who apparently is still around, about his view on the vaccines. And his answer immediately was, I get all the credit. It was all me. I even bought it. He made it all about himself. Like it all just became an internal, dialogue. You just don't see DeSantis do stuff like that. That's the stuff that irritates a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we get good policies out of it, I don't give a turd how many of you are irritated by it, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm irritated by it, but in the end, I'm also not 12, okay? So the option of, let me see, do I want a secure border? Do I want less inflation, higher wages, or do I want narcissistic tweets to stop? Let me think about that for, I don't know, not any determinate length of time. I'm not a child. I can just turn off the Twitter. I can just turn off the media. I can mute his account. I can do that, right?
Yes.
Can I make my wages go up?
No.
Can I make inflation go down?
No.
Can I secure the border?
No.
So if I have a choice, a guy that will do those things for me, or while irritating me, or someone who will make those things all worse and then irritate me thusly, which option do you think is the clearly superior one and not even a lesser of two evils?
Because I live in that place too, it's the former.
Yes. But what if I had a third option, which is I'm going to get somebody that's going to do all those things without providing so many obvious memes for them to politically masturbate to? Wouldn't I take that option?
I plan on it.
Yeah, and so my thought is, why would I want, therefore, if there was no one else that we could sit here today and say, boy, there's really nobody on the horizon or anybody with any kind of record that has shown they're good on these kind of populist conservative issues we care about, we could not get any action on for years, right?
Yeah.
I could see why we'd be like, I guess we'll just kind of, it's like when they got to set your leg without anesthesia. They give you something to bite down on, but you know it's going to hurt, but you know you need it, right? So we'll just put up with the mean tweets and the drama because in the end, the agenda matters more to a show like ours, right?
Sure.
Right. But do I have that option? Are there alternatives out there that have a demonstrated record of mobilizing on several of these issues without the collateral damage?
One
Do they
would hope.
exist?
Yes.
Yeah, they do exist. So then therefore, if I can go down that road, why would I want to re-incentivize, re-energize CNN? Why would I want to do that? Don't I want to crush them? Aren't CNN's ratings exactly where we all want them to be at this point? Right?
Yes.
So then why do I want them to be resurrected? Why would I resurrect them? Do you know?
Well, it's the GOP.
Okay. I mean, I've almost tweeted something along these lines about a half dozen times in the last week or two. It's just every time I was about to, some other lie came up that had to be exposed, and it just has slipped my mind. So I'm glad that this came up in Buy, Sell, or Hold so I could address it here. Thank you.
I am selling it. I'm only taking it word for word, all literally, and the problem is it won't be subtle. They will tell you, you're damn right I ordered the code red. We want Trump. That's what they'll say.
Next up, Tiny Johnny says, for the left, if you can't kill the children, then indoctrinate the children. And if you can't indoctrinate the children, then convince those children to act like children when they become adults.
Dude, that's prophesying, bro.
Death of the West right there.
I feel like buying that somehow diminishes it. Okay. I will buy it.
You just salute it silently?
Yes. I mean, I'm just like, that's prophesying, brother. That's what that is. Prophesy. Yes.
Up next, we'll go to Chris Goebel, who says, there will be no consequences for anyone for COVID, lockdowns, masks, etc. No one will be fired, seriously investigated, sanctioned, or anything else.
Buy.
I'm going to sell.
A definitive sell.
Yes. Because I do think here's why I'm going to sell them. And I want to make sure you guys, I have no trust in justice along these lines east of Eden. Okay. These are moments that I'm comforted that there's a hell. I'm comforted we serve a God who demands justice. And if you will not accept the penalty for that and atone for it, and the atonement for it in this life, then you will suffer eternally for that. I'm comforted by that. That gives me that assuages my conscience that there's an order to the universe, right?
Well, it helps us to be long suffering.
Indeed,
Yes.
indeed. That this isn't all just pointless and random.
Right.
But while I have no trust in justice in our current cultural setting as an altruistic force, I do still trust partisan politics. And if Republicans get control of even one chamber next year, so many of them are, dude, Kevin McCarthy, guys. I mean, Kevin McCarthy 10 minutes ago would have quadruple masked his anus if Anthony Fauci told him to, okay? Kevin McCarthy, of all people, is now calling for Fauci to be gone. They're going to need content after winning because they're going to be in the mind. They'll have both. They'll have a chamber or maybe both, but you know, Biden can still veto anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to need something to offer us affirmatively rather than, well, we did all the stuff we told you're going to do, and then they just vetoed it all. So I guess we just stand here with our thumbs up our keisters for the next 16 months, and that's why we need to win the presidency in 2024. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go that route eventually, but in the summer of 2020, in the summer of 2023, it'll be too early for that. They're going to need some programming to offer the Foxes and the Newsmaxes and the BlazeTVs of the world. Something to feed to their base. And that something is going to be some form of an in-depth tribunal investigation into all of this. And somebody will be held accountable. It might be posthumously. What was that chick who was the first that got busted for the leak, whose name I can never remember, but I love? Rebel something?
Oh. Reality Winter?
Was it Rebel Yell? Reality Winner, yes. Okay, Rebel Yell.
May as well have been.
Okay. Yeah. They'll find a reality winner. They'll find a Rebecca Jones. Because remember, guys, it used to be that the media mined the political system for content, right? Now the political system understands it needs to provide the content for the media. It has to. And Sean Hannity's ratings ain't going up in 2023, doing the same show over and over again. Well, guys, everything got vetoed again today, so I guess we look forward to the 2024 election in 8. No, they need, everything's about talking points, guys. They need talking points. That's what primes the pump, man. That's what fuels the machine. And to provide those talking points, they're going to need their version, although there's a lot of data instead to start with more, but they need a Russia collusion. They need a Ukrainian, they need something. And do the amount of prima facie evidence that's already out there on this, the amount of people that have already gone on the record within the Republican intelligentsia condemning Fauci or demanding he's gone, this is an easy play. An easy play, and it's a card that they will play. So I will buy with confidence. You may not find their findings sufficient. It may not be. You may not have as many nooses there on the gulag on the not gulags, but you may not see as many nooses there on the stockades like as many at Nuremberg as you would like.
The gallows.
The gallows. That's what I was looking for. Yes, but you're gonna get something because they know that they're all on the record, and it's a lot easier to go after this than it is to rein in big tech, than it is to get the Biden administration to not veto anything you would pass. And so this will be your summer viewing content in 2023 if Republicans win even one chamber.
I already sold.
So you're buying. Selling would be, there will be no consequences. Steve is selling, so you're buying.
Well, I'm buying. Okay, yeah, then I'm buying because everything Steve said, it sounds like no consequences to me, so.
Up next, Fedigator says John Williams will ultimately be considered one of the top 5 greatest composers of all time alongside Mozart, Bach, and Beethoven.
So.
Why?
Because there's so many more. You're into classical, Aaron, but I can't. Rachmaninoff, all kinds of composers throughout history that are part of a very, very, very large discussion, and it doesn't diminish John Williams in what.
How about greatest American composer ever?
In any way.
Is that okay?
I don't know enough about that to say.
How about the fact he's the only American composer I know?
Yeah, see, that's the problem with us. But
I'm
betting on the field. That's what I'm saying.
I think we haven't even gotten to Tchaikovsky handles.
Right.
So I'm with you on the sell. But I think I could buy greatest American composer ever.
I would sell that. Aaron Copland, which John Williams has borrowed stuff from, but Aaron Copland is
now that is a name I've heard. Yeah, okay, I've heard that name.
Next, we'll go to Zachary Miller. Greg Abbott wins re-election in 2022.
Bye.
I mean, Trump will guarantee it. This is kind of what he does. And I know some of you get frustrated on both ends of this because you want me to either just flat out overtly condemn him forever, or I have to ignore everything I disagree with in my own face. I'm just never that show, by the way. Okay? Here's how I operate. I'm going to tell you what I think. And when I know going in I have a bias, I have a tendency to stay away from the subject matter, like I have for the most part the last few years of whatever Ted Cruz has done. On very limited occasion have we discussed it, because I have a bias going in. So I don't trust my own analytic ability when that's concerned. The reality is Trump's only going to take out rhinos that voted for impeachment or offended him on a personal level, because that's really all Trump cares about more than anything is the personal beef. That is a great frustration, correct?
Yes.
But here's the good news of that. On the other hand, pretty much all those people are also people we'd still want to take out for other reasons anyway, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to, and even though we'll protect people like Greg Abbott when we could have gotten rid of him, right? Would we still get rid of more people doing it the Trump narcissistic way than we had done like the last 20 years combined?
Yeah.
So this is the great frustration. We're always in this middle zone.
Yes.
Okay. Right. And so that's the reality of life with Trump as your figurehead. That's the world you live in. You're going to get more. The good news is he's transactional. The bad news is he's transactional. So you're going to get more out of him than you got out of pretty much anything the Republican Party offered you for the last few decades. But you still don't feel as if it's sufficient, or it could have been more at the exact same time, given his potential.
He's like an old vending machine. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes you really got to slam it. And sometimes it's just kind of hopeless.
And as we've learned, you can mess with Texas. Had Texas been Florida, we would be having a totally different analysis.
And somebody told Greg Abbott somebody in his office said, dude, just do what Ron DeSantis does 3 weeks later after he makes sure he takes all the heat and the coast is clear. Just do the same stuff. And that's essentially what Greg Abbott's done for the last month and a half. So.
Next up, Space Monkey says the winner of the 2020 Iowa Democrat Presidential Caucus will be announced the day Steve Deace takes the stage for the CPAC keynote address.
This is one of the most clever ones we've maybe ever had. Because this is like a convergence of show tropes. That's very well done, brother. I have to buy that. That's very clever.
Agree.
Yeah.
Next up, we will go to Arturo Scribe. Top 3 third basemen of all time in order. Number 1, Mike Schmidt.
I'm okay with him being number 1. If no other reason, beyond the 500 homers and everything else, those beautiful baby blue and burgundy Philly jerseys from back in the day, they should have never gotten rid of, and they should wear home and away because they were just...
Yes, they were.
They were pretty. They need to bring those back.
Yeah, I'll take it. It seems like... Of the 3 we've seen on this list, there's got to be somebody we're missing. But on the list, yeah, he's number 1 above the other 2.
Number 2, Brooks Robinson.
Brooks Robinson is that beautiful human highlight reel. I don't remember I've ever seen a highlight of him hitting, but like just a gymnast of a glove man, and that's a beautiful thing. Web Gems, there's a reason that's a highlight. So, yeah, he's got a pride of place there, too.
I'm okay with him on the list. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
And number 3, Chipper Jones.
Well, you're talking arguably the greatest switch hitter of all time. He's certainly in that conversation. I kind of feel, though, particularly in the Mike Schmidt era, we're missing somebody that belongs in this conversation.
It does seem like it to me as well.
Now, injuries and stuff bogged down his career later on. Otherwise, who knows what kind of, and he's still in the Hall of Fame, but who knows what kind of numbers he would have put up. But is George Brett ahead of Brooks Robinson?
Well, see, this is where I totally did I knew we were missing something. You just can't miss the totally obvious. Yeah, well, the fact that George Brett isn't on this list is
he still the latest
criminal.
Anybody was hitting 400 into a regular season? Didn't they go into like August or something in 1980?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Brett is George Brett is absolutely number 2 at the very least on this list for me.
Okay.
Next, we'll go to Steve, who says, from most likely to least likely. He says this is the most likely. Kamala Harris is not on the 2024 ticket. Number 2, Ted Cruz is on the 2024 ticket, so that's a little less likely. And then number 3, Steve starts a band and names it Front Hole Surfers. So that's the least likely thing to happen.
I think your order might be opposite, actually. Number 3 is the least likely event to happen.
And that's what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. I would actually put it 2, 1, and 3, but I actually think 1 and 3 are pretty close because I think the chances of her not being on the ticket are
slim.
In fact, there's a far greater likelihood she's at the top of the ticket.
That's what
than
I was.
not on it.
That's my comment was going to be. This is schizophrenia dialed up to 11.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I would put Cruz the least likely option there is just because of the likelihood that Trump runs, and I'm not. And to me, I don't think, just looking at it analytically, he is an attractive. I don't see what he brings to the Trump ticket unless Trump and him have enough of a relationship now that he just wants to set him up for the future. So I don't see the likelihood of that being very high.
I'll take it as is, I guess. I'll buy.
Okay.
Andy in Florida says the national average price for a gallon of gasoline will exceed $4 per gallon before it goes back under $2 per gallon.
I'm going to sell, but not for a reason that I like. I'm going to sell because at this time last year in a lot of places in America, gas was under $2 a gallon. Why? Lockdowns. And I think the possibility of trying to play that card again, because it worked so well the first time, I think that is a higher likelihood than gas going to $4 a gallon.
I will sell it. We're not dealing with market forces, strictly speaking, on many, many issues that we think we are. And here, I think we learned a little lesson. Remember, just like a month ago, we had gas lines in just the Southeast. Yeah, and we saw people get more pissed off about that than they did about getting masked for months and schools getting closed down. So I think the powers that be saw that and said, yeah, that's probably a bridge too far.
Let's see. Finally, Elliot Evans says the college football playoffs will eventually expand to 12 teams.
That's a metaphysical certitude, I believe.
Bye.
Yeah. I think there's a slight chance they won't jump right to 12. When I say slight, though, there will be a step of expansion first. But the reason I think that's like 10% or lower is because the reason they want to go to 12 is they are trying to come up with a number that accommodates Notre Dame, gives them more of an opportunity to make it on a almost perennial basis, but then also provides the SEC still gets the opportunity to get 3 or 4 teams in the playoff every year. if they want. All right. So if you expand to 8 and there's 5 automatic bids, the SEC is going to get hit harder by that than anybody else is. But if you expand to 12, they then will benefit from that. 12 is the number everybody benefits. You keep all your conference championship game money. Everybody gets the agenda they want. Okay, the Big Ten can now get multiple teams more often. The SEC will go from getting 2 teams into 3 or 4 a lot of years. The Pac-12 is back involved. It's coast to coast again. The group of 5 now, the small schools get a bid. Everybody gets what they want. The networks get more meaningful games. 12 is the number that I think it's over 90% they go to, and as soon as 2023. So bye.
Bye. Make it happen fast. I'm exhausted by this nonsense.
So is Daniel Horowitz, but by a different nonsense. And he will inform us of that exhaustion coming up here next. Stay tuned. You know, there could be, 80, 90 plus points out there you could add to your credit score if you know how to get access to them. And that's where ScoreMaster comes in. They have cracked the code on helping you take control of your credit score, which can mean a big difference in life, from approval for auto, home, business loans to even if you can get approved. What kind of terms, repayment, interest rate are you looking at? Heck, a lot of employers are looking at credit scores these days as well. So if you want to see what can be done about improving your credit score, let ScoreMaster empower you by putting your information where it belongs, in your hands, showing you exactly why you have the score you have, and then exactly what can be done about it. It takes just a few minutes, maybe even a minute or less, to go and look right now when you go to scoremaster.com/Steve. That's right. Again, go look at scoremaster.com/Steve. Again, that's scoremaster.com/Steve. Let's bring in the weekly prophet of woe and lamentation, our good friend Daniel Horowitz. Good to see you, brother. How you been?
Hey, great to be back with you, Steve.
So you've got a blockbuster piece out at the Blaze today about they're doing ivermectin again, what they did last year to hydroxychloroquine.